Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today is Craig Fitzhugh. He's the state minority leader in the House. He is also a candidate for governor on the Democratic primary on August 2nd. Leader Fitzhugh, the Supreme Court's made a couple of interesting rulings that impact Tennessee. One that came out this week that would allow all states to start taxing online sales, not even if they don't have a brick and mortar shop or store in their area. I think Tennessee has got some rules in place to do that. We could be talking about several $100 million. That's good for the state, but what about the poor taxpayer? That's a lot more money out of their pocket.
Well, it is, Pat, possibly, but this is something Tennessee's been working on a long time, and I've been part of what we used to call the streamlined sales tax. Now, remember, these are taxes that they're not new taxes. They're taxes that are supposed to have been paid already because under the use tax provision, but there was no means or method or law to collect them. So these are taxes already on the books. So if you look at it that way, it's just taxes that we should collect, which may prevent an additional tax increase in the future.
Haven't had a tax increase in the sales tax across the board since back before Governor Bredesen came into office in the last year of Don Sundquist. Some estimate $200 million. What would the state spend $200 million on?
Well, frankly, I think it's going to be more than that. I think the ability to collect those taxes that should have been paid may keep us from having a tax increase in the future because it's been a while, and I think it's a tremendous thing. I look forward to reading the opinion, but I'm certainly thinking that Tennessee has a structure that we can do this, and I think it will be it's something that I think is a good thing. An
earlier ruling this year by the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, opens the opportunity for still possibly more revenue sources for Tennessee. It allows legal gambling on sports to be allowed in all the states. In Tennessee, at least for the lottery, that's been something the state has controlled. Do you think we ought to go into allowing legal gambling on sports in Tennessee, and how should it be controlled if we do it?
Well, it certainly has to be controlled, but it's one of those things that's going to happen, and we might as well get our revenue from it because we have very limited means of collecting revenue, and if we can use things like the stream or the ability to collect internet taxes, the growth of our economy, and maybe this online gambling thing, it may keep us as a low tax state as we are now.
There have been a number of polls out. I have not seen one yet that shows you ahead of your opponent, right, Carl Dean. Are you concerned about that at this point? I mean, we're coming to the end of June, got about one more month. What's going to turn things around for you if you're going to win on August 2nd?
Well, we've had a pretty good week. We had a good response at our 1,000 people at our Democratic three-star dinner. We've had a one-on-one debate this last week. I'm on TV now. With the spot that you know sort of shows who I am pretty good in 30 seconds. So our name is getting out there. Look, I'm on the road 24/7, and everywhere I go, Pat, it's very encouraging. I get good response. Now, whether it's enough, who knows? But we're going to give it our best shot.
A recent poll that Vanderbilt put out seemed to indicate the Republican primary with 4 candidates was still kind of wide open. And that's been a few weeks ago. Do you still sense that when you're out on the campaign trail? You do a lot of common events with the Republican candidates, or yes, is there a candidate emerging that you think you'd be most likely to run against coming in August?
Well, I think there probably 2 that have gotten the most TV, the most notoriety right now. But the other 2 candidates, you know, they're standing in the shadows or in the wings, ready to go because they're both from different perspectives, very good candidates.
The Vanderbilt poll also showed that Congressman Diane Black, who's one of the leading Republican candidates I think that you mentioned, has some pretty high numbers, negative numbers among some elements of voters, maybe not among Republicans, but among independents and Democrats. Is she the candidate you might most like to run against, either one of you, either you or Carl Dean? Against her, would you have the best chance to win in that case?
I think I'll fare pretty well against any of the 4 candidates for different reasons, but she is, you know, all 4 are trying to hitch themselves to the president, and you know, if things on the national level happen like this tremendously terrible thing about the children throughout our country, you know,
the separation of families on the border.
Exactly. It's Pat. I mean, that's a terrible thing, and if that's going to be the issue, you know, it doesn't matter who I run against.
Is that one way you might try to bring over some Republicans and independents? Because if you look at the vote that's going to come out on August 2nd, there are going to be many more people voting in the Republican primary probably than the Democratic primary. If whoever wins on the Democratic side is going to have to bring some voters back home to the Democratic side if they can do that.
Well, I think in the rural areas, I'm seeing some folks that want to vote that way, and I've not said this on TV and probably shouldn't say it. You know, probably shouldn't say it like like that. But if Mr. Trump keeps doing crazy things like these children, there are going to be some people that are in Tennessee that are going to come home to roost back in Democrat and independents that are going to vote for a candidate like me.